Now, what is interesting is that the words we heard today from Governor Christie are almost precisely the same words we heard about 3 months ago during an episode of Christie on the Line.
Just want to know if you're going to run for president this time around. If not, when you're done with New Jersey, are you going to run for president?
There you go. No, I'm not going to run for president this time around. You're all stuck with me. I'm staying. And what I'm going to do after I'm done being governor of New Jersey will depend on when I'm done being governor of New Jersey. I've got a 4-year contract with the people of the state. And when we get near the end of that contract, we'll have to decide whether we want to re-up it, whether I want to ask for another term. And if I decide to do that, whether you want to give it to me.
And we are joined right now by NJTV contributors Steve Adubato and Rafael P. Roman. Gentlemen, good of you to come on in.
Thank you for having us.
Surprised by what you saw today?
No, I mean, bottom line is, Ref and I have been talking to Chris Christie for years. This is a smart, gutsy, courageous politician, but he could also count. And he can count the calendar, and he knew, Mike, that he could not put this together. The machinery would be too tough. And also, to get into those early primaries would be very tough. And ultimately, if it looked, Raf, like he was abandoning New Jersey, that's a very risky move if you have to run for re-election if you don't win the big one.
And Mike, he's done this before. When he first started in politics, he got elected as a freeholder. 3 months later, he wanted to run for the assembly. He got killed in the assembly. The people didn't want him back as a freeholder. So I think he's learned his lesson in his course of his political career.
The way he conducted himself today, is this vintage Christie? I mean,
Absolutely. Look, Steve and I had him on TV. The first TV appearance he ever made after he was the U.S. Attorney was with us. And we didn't know him. We had never seen him. And he came on because we invited him because he was controversial. All he had done in his life was collect money for George Bush.
No, he was hold on. He was a fundraiser.
He was a fundraiser.
I'm clarified that,
I'm trying to say that he didn't have experience in criminal law. And people were criticizing him for it, and we wanted to see what was up.
But then he becomes a prosecutor with a rather enviable record.
130 and 0. But after that show, Steve and I almost simultaneously looked at each other and go, wow. This guy may crash and burn, but
there's something there, Mike.
What is there?
I'll tell you what I think there is, and I think Raf agrees. We don't agree on much, but here's the thing: you saw a guy who wasn't going to be managed by the PR people, by the media types. I mean, on the inside of the campaign, he was saying what he believed. He was saying what he thought, Mike. And I got to tell you something. That was the thing that caught fire across this country. I'm not convinced that in 2016, assuming he runs and wins in 2013 in New Jersey, I'm not sure there's a lot of leadership out there by then. I still think that there is going to be a place for that kind of communication.
He spoke about leadership at the Reagan Library.
That's right.
He spoke about leadership today, and he spoke about it as if I'm in the club. I'm a leader. I know it. And it was the way a guy who wants to be president of the United States has to think.
Oh, he wants it.
He wants it.
Oh, he wants it.
Yeah.
But he's doing the calculation. And when I was here talking to you last week, I was thinking about it. And here's where I come down on it. He knows if he loses the presidency, if he loses either the primary and or the general election, New Jersey is not a state you can come back and say, never mind, I'm going to come back. You got property taxes, you got school reform issues that he has to deal with. And you got a lot of Democrats who are going to say, you see, he really isn't a Jersey guy. He wanted the big prize and he couldn't get it. And I think that he figured it out. It was too risky.
But I think one of the reasons why he hesitated is because, as we all know, we've been covering politics for years, a window opens up and it quickly closes up. You know, just because he is such a viable candidate now, a potential candidate now, that doesn't mean that 2 years, 3 years from now, when he's had a lot of fights with the Democratic legislature, that he'll be as fresh a face, or the window will open up for him to be president then, in 4 years or 8 years.
He broached the subject, or some members of the press did, vice president. And he kind of, you know, we all know what that's been characterized as being. He kind of just wanted to push that away. Is that a categorical denial?
He didn't categorically deny
it. It doesn't really matter, Raf, because the worst thing I would wish on a presidential candidate is having Chris Christie as your vice presidential candidate.
Well, he said you'd have to hire a food tester.
Because it just wouldn't work, because his personality, he's just not a number two. He's not a number two guy or a woman.
Let me go back to the original question. What makes him different? What does he have that resonates so much? Do we have the time?
If you get about 20 seconds.
Quickly, he's the kind of guy who is the same after you interview him as when you interview him.
Which is, the viewers may pick up on this, but we in the business know that is very rare. Gentlemen, Raf, thanks for, you could take a cue very well, my friend.
Thank you.
Wish we had more time, but we'll talk some more. Gentlemen, thanks so much.